Here's why investors should be worried about growing hostilities between Israel and Hamas and that cyber attack against Colonial Pipeline. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. Iran and Russia are testing President Biden. The fight between Israel and Hamas, the powerful Palestinian terrorist group, is escalating. Hamas is primarily bankrolled and armed by Iran. It has been using a bitter property dispute in an East Jerusalem neighborhood as a pretext to launch hundreds of rockets against Israeli civilians in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and other parts of Israel. Israel is retaliating from the air and may well conclude that it must mount full-scale ground operations against Hamas and neighboring Gaza as it did in 2014 when it dealt the terrorist organization a terrible blow. Hamas wouldn't be risking a repeat unless ordered to do so by Iran. Iran's rulers are playing a deadly game with the U.S. They know the new administration badly wants another nuclear deal, and they figure that stirring up hostilities against Israel will make Biden officials more amenable to making bigger concessions, especially getting sanctions significantly eased even before a nuclear agreement is reached. That is, see things Iran's way and it'll tamp down the violence. If President Biden falls for Iran's ghastly gambit, the oil-rich Middle East will conclude the U.S. is no longer a stabilizing force, and certain Arab states will start to consider having to make anti-American arrangements with Revolution Tehran, which has long desired to imperially dominate the region. Russia will also rejoice. Even more ominous is the sophisticated cyber attack that shut down the U.S.'s largest fuel pipeline. Such an assault couldn't have been carried out without the connivance or acquiescence of Moscow. This not only exposes how vulnerable vital parts of our infrastructure are, but also how much more we must do to protect ourselves from such mortal threats. Imagine what similar assaults could do to the rest of our gas and oil arteries, not to mention our power plants. This is about national security. Yet the Biden administration so far has downplayed this attack, which signals to our adversaries the U.S. lacks the will maybe to defend itself and tells our allies we may not be a reliable defense partner. All this means an increasingly unstable world, and that kind of instability, reminiscent of the 1930s and 1970s, hurts economic growth here and around the world, and that's obviously bad news for stocks. Will the Biden administration recognize the larger fundamental stakes of what is unfolding in the Middle East and with the profoundly disturbing implications of this cyber attack? For the sake of our safety, it had better do so promptly. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.